Magsy Mags, we've been talking for a hot minute. We'll let people come into the chat. We've got a couple of people here already, but we'll let people come into the chat. I was just saying, Mags, before we went live, it's so good to hear the sound of your voice, and I hate being nice to you.
And I've been dreading this all week since you announced your comeback. It's been heavenly without you around.
I bet.
I feel like I've got more podcasting work done without having the monkey on my back of recording with Josh.
Oh, well, obviously, like, we've got some, like, under-the-table kind of money exchange happening here, so I can get the famous Mags, because, you know, he might be the only man that has more podcasts than I do, to be completely fair, so...
that may be true, but being real, I'm glad you're back. I know that you desperately needed the break to kind of... to figure out your place in the world, and also whether wrestling was still for you, I suppose. Yeah, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you've got like a refreshed mindset, and I'm excited to see what Radio Joshy brings.
Yeah, well, it's I said in my video, but I before we get into we'll get into predictions soon, to allow people to get in. Leno's here, Rowan's here, so me and Mags will talk for the next 5-10 minutes, but I guess address the elephant in the room. When I left, it was a lot to do with my love for wrestling, the time we are in the world with COVID and Black Lives Matter and the speaking out movement within wrestling, then also personally coming out, everything like that. I was just, I sometimes the only way to kind of refresh is to literally just take a kind of step away. You would know the feeling, Mags, when, you know, I love doing all the shows that I do and all the content I create, but I mean, at the same time, I do create a lot of content. I put a lot of hard work into it. I'm not phoning these in. You're the same, Mags. No. So you know the feeling when you just kind of like, I need to fuel up. I need to put some gas in my tank here because I'm burning out fast. And I just needed to process my own life, which I'm still doing. But hey, that's called life. We deal with it in our own kind of way. But I'm happy to be back here on Twitch, looking at all my like stuff and my setup, and I'm like, holy shit, I've forgotten all of this stuff and this crazy little thing that we kind of run. But I'm just happy to be back in a wrestling bubble. I found my love for wrestling again, Mags, which is weird to, you know, that process of like, ooh, I've been speaking with friends who don't talk about wrestling and they want to watch wrestling, and then I go back and watch wrestling, and you know, when you know, Mags, we love wrestling so much, but sometimes we live in such a fast-paced world with it that we don't actually appreciate any of the matches that are actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, we were literally just talking about Slammiversary last night, and how we really want Impact to do well, but just having that time to invest in Impact is, for me, definitely is just a no-go, because of I'm more invested in other products and other things in life. And yeah, it's an amazing first world problem to have, that there's too much wrestling. But I do get your point that over the last month or so, it's wrestling has took an absolute kick in the dick with finding out so many big name wrestlers were absolute scumbags, and it's still they're still coming out of the woodwork. And the one good thing about this whole movement, I mean, personally, I wish we never had to get to this point where female wrestlers have been abused for so long, and it's been systematic and deep in the core of wrestling. I wish that was never a thing. But the good thing about the speaking out movement is we're able to weed out these people, and we're able to cut this evil core out of wrestling, and hopefully get to a place where women don't have to be in fear of chasing the wrestling dreams, that they don't have to worry about being abused or victimized. Hopefully wrestling can recover from this.
Oh man, it's going to take some time and everything like that. Thank you for the follow, Jack, by the way. Me and Mags will both do our best to kind of keep up with the chat. We're not ignoring you. We're just kind of going on with our conversation. We'll get to your chat messages when we can. But yeah, fuck David Starr and all those other people. I trust me. I agree. A lot of these people that we thought were pretty good people turn out to be scumbags. It's not a nice feeling, but just if we're feeling like this, imagine the people that have gone through this stuff, how they feel, because it must be tenfold way, way, way worse than what we feel. So yes, wrestling's taken a battering, but I think it is still important to remember that wrestling at its core is still what we love. Yes, there's scumbags in it. There's scumbags in any industry. I'm not taking away any kind of disgust or anything I have for them, but hey, it's been a time, and for me personally, everything that this isn't saying that my story is any better than anyone else's, but this is my experience. This is my kind of take on everything. Coming out was not the easiest thing in the world to do. However, while I do think it's one of probably is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life, and maybe the best thing I'll ever do, and I'm probably the happiest I've ever been, I'm still in a bit of an uncomfortable zone. I'm only fresh off coming out and everything like that, and also, it's not really the easiest thing to do, to be some form of a small presence on the internet and be openly gay, because it opens you up to trolls, and it opens you up to people who just want to tear you down. I wanted to get this out of the way before I get to talking about happier things. I do not like the fact that I have to live in this reality. However, a part of coming out is realizing that I have to live in a certain reality now, that no matter what I do, someone somewhere in the world is always going to refer to me as some kind of gay slur. They're going to try to bring me down and make me feel pretty insecure about myself. I'm in a pretty vulnerable state as it is. However, I'm pretty thick-skinned. Mags would know this just by the way he jokes with me. I can words don't really bother me too much, especially from people that I don't know and everything like that. However, I have made it I tweet about it a lot, because the small minority of people that still feel uncomfortable with the words gay and being openly gay, I want to make them uncomfortable, because it's normal, everybody, to be like this. And representation, especially in the world of wrestling, when there isn't a lot of representation, there's a small amount of representation for the LGBTQ plus community. However, it isn't openly for everybody, and I think it's important to make people that feel uncomfortable feel extra uncomfortable, because my content is a safe space for people in that community and for everybody, but my content is there is going to be times when it's about that. There's going to be times when it's not about that. It's a part of who I am. I just wanted to get that off my chest, because going forward, it's a part of me now, and I'm not going to shy away from it. And if people are going to be trolls and everything like that, go for it. It's not going to bother me. Honestly, it's not. I will call you out on it, and I will make you feel pretty worthless for calling someone a, quote, dumb F word that isn't fuck. So I just thought I'd say that, Mags, and I'm fine, by the way. I'm unbothered. You've seen my tweet. I'm completely unbothered. But Mags is a big supporter of mine in that aspect, so I know he won't give me too much shit on this topic, but everybody's different. Whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I said it as clear as I could in the reply to your original coming out post. It makes absolutely no difference to me. I will still have this amazing friendship with you. With the friendship that we built up was not based on anything towards anyone's sexuality. No. You are you. It was based on you being the amazing, crazy, happy, lovable person that you are, and who you choose to love makes absolutely no difference on that. It's a sad state of affairs that in the year 2020 you still have the biggest worry of coming forward with your sexuality is, what are other people going to think? That shouldn't be a thing. You should be free and able to express your love for whoever you love. It's as simple as that. But unfortunately, the reality is that we're not in that world. The good thing for you is that every single person that is able to come out and be themselves and not have to hide behind a persona, it makes the world that little bit brighter. And we have an amazing support structure for you. You know that if you're getting any grief from anywhere, or you're feeling down, or you're feeling that people are just getting at you, we've got your back. We're always there to talk to. We're always there to defend you. It's just I feel so proud of you. I'm proud that you felt comfortable enough to share that you're gay. And do you know what? It's a shame that it has to be such a big deal, because I don't believe that it is. I think it's just you coming out, you saying, "This is me. This is accept me or don't accept me. That's up to you." And for me, it had absolutely no bearing. I'm still going to give you as much shit as I give you, and I'm still going to give you all the love that I give you. So, yeah, I'm proud of you.
It's everyone in the chat, Reese and David, Rowan, and everybody else that's been in the chat. It's first and foremost, welcome. We are going to talk about Extreme Rules in just a second.
That's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever. But it's just something that I know that I need to address first, so I can kind of get this out of the way. But yes, in my content, you're going to hear a lot about it. I'm not going to apologize for it. It's normal, just like anybody else. But I feel representation is a very big, important thing that needs to be normalized a little more, and that's why I'm trying to throw it in normally, in a tweet, on my shows, whatever. It's a part of me now. Another thing that I did announce was Reverb Radio. You can go to my Twitter at JoshRobinson00 to find out all the information you need to find, at Reverb Radio 00 on Twitter as well. And it's my new home for all my podcasts. So I'll have more of that kind of stuff over the next week, what you can expect from that. But we are here to talk about Extreme Rules. We got some people in the chat. So, Mags, it's going to be a bit of a horror show, apparently. Okay. Listen, you know how I am with WWE. I love WWE. You do too. I know you do love WWE to a certain degree. Maybe not as much as I do. However,
definitely not that much.
Definitely not as much as I do. But it's either a really good thing or it's a really horrible thing. They have to have a tagline for everything. Marketing-wise, I can see why they do it as a business. However, to call something the horror show in the year 2020, which has literally been a horror show, is bold. It's a bold move. I'll give them that.
Yeah, it was bold. The original title was actually the horror show, Extreme Rules Horror Show, which kind of has the connotations that show specifically was going to be an absolute horror show, and you really shouldn't watch it. So I think the marketing team we've dropped the ball here, and then they switched it around to the horror show at the Extreme Rules. It's going to be a horror show, either in the very best way, or it's going to be like watching a C-level horror show where it's that bad. It's probably going to entertain you.
There's potential for some matches on this card, which we'll run down in a minute, to be really great, and then there's potential for some stuff to be an absolute shitstorm. And you know me, Mag, sometimes I like wrestling more when it's a shitstorm, and it's just something you can just smile and laugh at, to be completely honest. So I hope we get both sides of the thing. I'm pretty sure we're going to get both sides of that. Let's get into some matches here. Let's just get this one out of the way first. United States Championship, Apollo Crews defending against MVP. I remember about a month ago, hey, I just got Leno, thank you for subscribing. Oh, well, there you go. Holy shit, I got a subscriber. Wow, thank you. Anyway, to brush past that, Leno, I'll DM you on Twitter about that later. I remember you saying about in our last, what was the last pay-per-view? Backlash?
Yep.
Fuck.
Yep,
that feels like a lifetime ago. I remember you saying you were fairly into Apollo Crews, and a month later it seems like he's done nothing. Is that rude?
I mean, I remember going back to the predictions, And the rumors around that time was that Vince was not high on Apollo Crews at all, and that his title run wouldn't be a long one. So in that sense, he's done something, because he's managed to keep hold of the title. So yeah, but other than that, there's not the only movement really in that US title division is that god awful new design of a belt.
Okay. All right. I knew this would come up. I hated it at first. When it first got revealed on Raw, I was like, that thing is freaking ugly. But then, like, a better picture of it, I was like, it's not as ugly as I think. I don't know if I love it, but I don't hate it. Yeah, like, it's okay. That would be the best way to describe it. That new belt is okay. But I don't know. There was something about that. I remember having a conversation with you, Mags, maybe through Twitter DMs, probably, that to me, the United States Championship, the previous design, was like the bit of nostalgia I was hanging on to. It was like the only championship that looked the same since I was growing up. So
yeah,
I know it's kind of ugly, and it was kind of, I don't know if it was unpopular, but
I don't even think it was ugly. I thought it was classy. I mean, it was that title, and then John Cena got the US spinner belt, and then they went back to that title. I've always thought, like you, it's kind of a link to wrestling eras of old almost, and it was like the last bastion of decent WWE title belts, I suppose.
Yeah, would it look nicer with some blue, like Rowan said? I don't know. Would it look nicer with some blue? Probably. I mean, it just needed... something needs rearranging on it. It just looks... I don't know. There's something off about it, but it doesn't make me hate it. So you hate the new title. If you put
more blue on that, I think it looks even more like an Impact title.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That's the big standout for me. The shape of it I don't like, and it's the fact it looks like an Impact title that really annoys me.
Fair.
Annoyed about a title belt. How self-centered am I?
Petty, eh? What petty people we are. We're really here for this whole next hour or however long we talk about Extreme Rules. Most of the time, at some point, you or me we're gonna shit on wrestling. So how petty are we? Is that a challenge? Maybe. Well, this match, I mean, Apollo and MVP doesn't really do that much for me. Hence why I'm getting it out of the way now. I don't know what to say about this one. Mags, do you expect anything good from this match?
Well, Apollo Crews in ring work is some of the best, probably one of the most underrated wrestlers in WWE today. So the match will be decent. MVP has been a bit of a revelation since he came back and teamed up with Bobby Lashley. He's really taken that manager's role and ran with it. I like the fact that they've brought in Shelton Benjamin as well to kind of keep this story going. But for me, the whole point of this match is to stretch this storyline out to SummerSlam, and we're gonna kind of hear that same rhetoric over quite a few of these matches that we're going to predict in. I think the big problem with this Extreme Rules this year is we're in this land of unknowns, and we're just trying to get to the next big pay-per-view where a lot of the storylines will end and we'll get some refreshing. So this is one match where I think the result will keep the storyline going, and then I would assume it's going to be Big Bobby Lashley going for the title. Yeah, Big Bob going for the title at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think Bob Dog will be the one to probably. Well, I don't know. SummerSlam's the next pay-per-view, isn't it? Are we on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to SummerSlam. Oh yeah. How is it nearly August? What the hell?
It's been locked down for like 4 months.
Oh, who knows what? It still feels like March to me, so I don't know really what the fuck's going on at the moment. But it seems to be Apollo and Bobby. I guess this is just filler, like Rowan said. It's just to get to SummerSlam. It's just to get to Bobby Lashley, so we don't kind of just run that match dry, which, I mean, is something that a lot of people complain about, is WWE especially just like to, once they find a good match, they run it and run it and run it and run it and run it until it's dead in the water. So, I mean, in that respect, at least they're giving us, a reason to want Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews. I couldn't really see MVP winning this. I mean, there's never no chance because you never really truly know. But I have Apollo winning here. I would assume you would as well.
Yeah, I've got Apollo, and I agree with you. I just can't see a reason for MVP to win this match. What would be the end game of an MVP title win? Because obviously we're building towards Bobby Lashley getting that US title back or attempting to get the title back at SummerSlam. Yeah. So building up Apollo Crews for having MVP as a mini boss before he faces the big boss of Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam. So yeah, I've got Apollo Crews picking up this win.
Yeah, C Nation Guy 97 says Apollo is very underrated in the ring. I know you have always been someone with Apollo, Mags. Or at least you've told me, you've always thought much bigger than what he was presented. It's only in this last, 2 months that he's really been in a nice spot, I guess you could say. But he is someone that people tend to, when that conversation comes up, it's like, who's the best? Who's the best in-ring worker in the world? Or I'm not saying he's the best in the world, but that conversation. You don't really hear Apollo Crews that much. Is that warranted? I don't know. I think he's good, but you probably think higher of him than I do.
Yeah, I think he's so underrated in WWE. His NXT work was brilliant. He was kind of one of the guys that got brought up for the sake of being brought up and kind of left in catering. I think his work is brilliant. I think he reminds me of being in the kind of Drew Gulak and Chad Gable kind of mold where they're absolutely exceptional wrestlers, but they just don't get the push that their talent kind of deserves. It's very reminiscent of eras of the past where not being the best wrestler, it just doesn't get you where you are. It's always the louder characters that kind of are at the top of the tree, and unfortunately, these guys are always going to be that. They're always going to be that kind of mid card fodder.
Yeah, it's I don't know. You're right. I just agree with you because you're right. Well, we both agree on that one. It seems to be how we always do these prediction shows, Mags, is that we always agree on the first one. We think we're going to agree for the rest of the thing, and then we don't. So
yeah, well, again, harking back to the Backlash pay-per-view predictions, I still remember talking you into Drew losing his title and the whole storyline set up, and he didn't. So ignore everything I said.
Yeah. I'm just not going to listen to you anymore. Let's talk about the Smackdown Tag Team Championships. We've got a tables match for the titles. The New Day defending against Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. They've actually, in all fairness, built this match quite nicely. They've built to the fact that it was going to be a table stipulation and it was going to be all this. I'm not the biggest fan of table matches at all. I don't like them. I find them slow, and I find them low-key kind of boring. There's been good ones, but I just feel like they're a table set for disaster, in my opinion, because it takes away all the fun of a wrestling match, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't think this match will suck. I think it'll be fine. It's just more me personally. Let's talk about Shinsuke and Cesaro being a team, Mags. Weirdly enough, it works really well that they actually do play off each other really nicely. I know a lot of people will say, oh, you could be using Cesaro better, you could be using Shinsuke better. The fact that they're being used at all in a storyline that's being run on television at all is enough for me. Yes, I want bigger things for especially Shinsuke, but I'm just happy to see them in some of a role instead of nothing. So how do you feel about them two as a team?
Yeah, I think Cesaro has kind of is settled into being one of the best tag team wrestlers in the world, and the fact that he's a singles wrestler and he builds up these amazing partnerships with people, it's a testament to how good of a wrestler that guy is. He can kind of adapt to almost any kind of situation and really get you to invest in him. Unfortunately, I think the times are closing in on him getting a major push, and you know that's okay, I suppose. The fact that he's been prominent in WWE for so long, it's going to have to be enough for fans. He's not going to win that title, unfortunately. But like you said, it's good that they're getting time on TV and they're still in a prominent role, and they're going up against the New Day, who are WWE's cash cows. These guys are print money for WWE. So if you're involved with these, then you're in a big storyline. So I can't give it too much shit.
Well, you could if you really wanted to. I know you.
But it's interesting that these two, Shinsuke and Cesaro, have actually still stuck together. They were part of the little team that Sami Zayn had formed around defending his Intercontinental title, and obviously Sami was one of the big victims of COVID, and we've not seen him since. Yeah. So it's interesting that WWE have kept these two together. Maybe when Sami's back, that's going to become kind of like a faction almost, and maybe we'll get New Day versus these as trios. But it's just good to see Shinsuke and Cesaro getting ring time.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, New Day are arguably some of the biggest sellers of merch. They're on television on a pretty consistent scale, if not every single week. So you really can't, you're not in a bad spot if you're working with the New Day. That's how I see it. When it comes to this match, do you really expect... I've said my piece on tables matches. How do you feel about a tables match?
I don't mind a tables match. I think it's it leads for exciting moments where people are getting power slammed or thrown off a top rope and a table's been set when they pulled out of the way. I like that kind of like last minute excitement. I do get that once you've seen a few table matches, you've pretty much seen them all. There's only so many different ways you can play a table match off. But if any guys can bring something fresh to it, it's definitely Kofi and it's definitely Shinsuke. And then obviously you've got the two big beefy powerhouses in Big E and Cesaro. So I think I like the dynamic of this match. And I think these four guys will be able to make it work.
Yeah, like I said, it's more of a me thing than anything else. And I do think if we're going to get a good tables match, it'll be with these two teams. I see a title change personally because I feel like, I don't know, there's just more to it if Cesaro and Shinsuke were to win. And it's not like, it's not like Smackdown is ramping with lots and lots and lots of tag teams. The Usos are out. We're not going to talk about the Forgotten Sons. You've got Miz and Morrison, but they kind of do other things, and we've seen them with the New Day. It just makes more sense, in my eyes, for them to lose the championships at this point. So I'm going to go Shinsuke and Cesaro for this one.
Yeah, this for me is a pick'em. I can see reasoning behind having both. You could have the New Day going into SummerSlam as champions, but then you could also have a rematch for this match.
That's true.
Going into SummerSlam if Cesaro and Shinsuke pick up the titles. So I think that's the way I'm going to lean. I think I'm going to go with Cesaro and Shinsuke picking up the titles just so it feeds into a rematch at SummerSlam.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's you're right though. It's a pick'em. You could literally go either way, and it would be 50-50. There's no argument there. It's just whatever they kind of feel like on the day, I think. Rowan says, I feel so bad for Blake and Cutler. They just should be in the tag division. Just drop Riker from them. Yeah, it's unfortunately...
Apparently they've now gone away for a refresh. I don't think that Forgotten Sons will be coming back in that kind of iteration.
Forget about them? That joke's never been made before, has it? Oh shit! I just got a gift. Leno, gifting a sub to Leno, thank you very much. I don't ever get gifted subs. I don't ever get subs. That's very nice of you to do. Thank you very much.
You should come out more often, Josh.
Yeah, honestly. I'm gay, everyone. Give me your money.
Just every month come out again.
What were we talking about? I can't remember.
That was classless. That was classless.
Stay classy.
We were saying how the Forgotten Sons need to be forgotten.
Yeah, whatever. They can fuck off. No, I do feel bad for them as well. To RJ's point, I do feel really bad for them because it's just a bad situation to be in, and then with everything going on in the world, it's like, oh, you couldn't just have said anything worse at that stage.
I think sometimes when you have that kind of bit of celebrity, I mean, his political views are his own. Nobody's got the right to tell him what kind of viewpoints he should have. But when you have that kind of celebrity and you have that kind of influence, sometimes it's just easier to just keep your mouth shut. You don't. Some words don't need to be spoken, and they drop the ball. Yeah,
just shut up. Like, just please shush. You don't need to say that. If you know what you're getting yourself into when you tweet something like that, especially when you have something like you said of a celebrity stature of some kind, I guess you could call him. But it is bad for the other two guys because it's not like they've done anything wrong, and they're not bad. I've never thought the Forgotten Sons were a bad unit. I just think they're a little bland. They're just a bit generic to me. But with proper character work and with something, you could, well, it's hard to say you could do something with them because I don't know what you could really do with, they're pretty. It would just all be a question of whether they could rebrand them, I guess. But moving on to another match. Let's talk about it. Eye for an eye.
Ooh,
now I'm going to
going hard straight away.
I'm going to explain the rules of the match, Mags. So follow along. So an eye for an eye match is the match can only be won when a competitor, in WWE.com's words, extracts an eye of their opponent. So, for layman's terms, I guess it would be to say, if me and Mags were to have this match, the only way I could win would be to take Mags' eye from out of his body.
It's a horror show. People lose eyes in horror films, I guess.
Well, that's true. Now, okay, we'll do the shit talk on this in a minute. But let's just look at this from inside of the box here, okay, Max?
Look at this from inside the box.
How do I hang up the call? Let's see. So it's okay, in the terms of this story, I'm not defending this because it is trash. But in the terms of the story, it does make sense. Yes, he tried to destroy Mysterio's eye, and he did Seth Rollins did to a certain degree. So I understand in storyline world where this works. Now, what I can't get past is that we know what wrestling is, everybody. We understand what wrestling is. But there's still real human beings in there, and yes, like RJ said, CGI is the only way they can really do this, unless they're willing to pay someone a fuck ton of money to be like, hey, let's just take out your eye, it's for the greater good of the company, I guess. But the actual art and the actual act that they're going to have to do to take out somebody's eye, there's no way that this can look good. It's like they've booked themselves into a corner with this one. If you're looking at it just from a wrestling point of view here, Max, what do you really actually fucking expect from this one?
Yeah, this is either going to make or break this show for me. How WWE play this one off. and how we get to the point of removing somebody's eye it's either going to be amazing and they're going to knock it out the park, or it's going to be an absolute fart in church. We'll see. This talk of Rey Mysterio's contractor being up and that he's literally working for WWE on a pay for play basis. We've also got Seth Rollins. He's not only attacked Rey, but he's also attacked Dominic and almost tried to gouge Dominic his eyes out. Ever since the loss to Kevin Owens at Mania, he's become obviously this Monday Night Messiah, and he's become very emotional, and he's been on this like really vicious downward spiral where he wants to be the top dog on Raw, but he just can't. He just can't do it. Yeah.
Oh, Magsy. You're right. It will either be amazing because it does. Sometimes we've said this multiple times when WWE, when their backs against the wall, and not only that, when we think something's going to be absolutely awful, sometimes they surprise us. However, usually that's in the context of a wrestling match or some kind of cinematic thing. But this is like the actual finish is what I don't have a problem with any of this story. In fact, I've kind of liked the story. It's taken a lot of twists and turns. The use of Dominic, who, by the way, I don't like him. I don't like to say anything bad about wrestling too
awful.
Much. But I just don't. You know what, everyone? For the 6 people that are here, fuck Dominic Mysterio. He can fuck off. All right, I've had enough with him. He's just this big goober, and I just don't like it. I hope he gets his eye ripped out by Seth or something like that in this match.
Wow.
But, all right, I'm shooting on Dominic, all right, everyone. Sorry, you have to pay for the rest. Sub for more. It's just the idea of this match is just batshit crazy, to be completely fair. There's going to be Dominic into, like, some kind of Dominic stuff. You would assume, Mags, that this would be a cinematic match, wouldn't you?
It has to be. At least the finish has to be. They can have in-ring work in terms of the sell, but we're not. This is a show essentially aimed at kids. We're not gonna see someone's eye really get ripped out. So it's got to be CG, which means it's got to be cinematic. But yeah, it's just this is another match where I can't pick a winner without kind of making a case for both sides.
Because it's the aftermath of this. Do they just not have an eye for the rest of their fucking career? It's like you can just grow an eye.
How does it work? Yeah. Are they going to be PCO where they just wear an eye patch for literally all the rest of the career? Can you imagine?
Oh, my God.
Right now, Seth Rollins would look absolutely amazing with an eye patch. It would get that kind of evil villain character down to a T.
I think he was a pirate, though. That's what Pirate Rollins. Here he comes on his fucking walk the plank and all this shit. That's what I would think of, and I would never be able to ever look at it any other way. CGI, do you like that in the chat, Mags? It's just, we're full of puns in this one, everyone. This is a real fucking horror show. So, I mean, Pirate Rollins. I see Ray winning this one if I'm going to pick it, Mags, just to throw it out there. I think Ray will win with help via Dominic.
Yeah, for me, it all depends whether Ray's sticking around. I've got the feeling that he is going to, because he wants Dominic to be a success in wrestling. He obviously wants to work with Dominic. I see the storyline of son versus father going somewhere. So I'm inclined to go with Rey Mysterio, but I've got this weird kind of fascination of how is Rey gonna pull off having no eye. I mean, his whole character is based around his mask. And the only part of his face you can really see is his chin and his eyes. So what they're going to do? Just have an eye patch over the mask?
He's got one at the moment. He's got that gimmick.
Yeah, I suppose.
So couldn't you just continue? I mean, it's not like Ray's going to be around forever. I don't mean to be a downer on anyone, but he's getting older. He's as old as Mags, and Mags is really old. So, I mean,
Rude. He's older than me. Thank you.
Well, okay. All right, Mags. It's. Could you just do that with? I don't know. I'm just gonna go Ray winning here. So Ray EW, right? RJ, you're funny. Yeah, all these puns. I'll go Ray just to fuck it.
Right. Well, just to be different and to make sure we're not both on the same page for all the matches, I'm going to go with Seth.
All right.
I'm going to go with Ray being a pirate. Pirate Ray.
Pirate Ray, here he comes. He'll fly in like Paul Burchill. Remember him? Paul Burchill reference. I didn't think I'd ever say that name ever
Such
again.
a waste of talent, Paul Burchill. I saw him on the British scene, and wow, that guy was amazing. And then he came to WWE and was a pirate, and also wanted to dick his sister, which was weird.
That was interesting. I remember him and Katie Lee Burchill. I was like, that's incestual, and I'm like 13 years old, and this is weird. So, but hey, I never thought I would talk about that either on a stream. So here we are, I guess. It's wow, yeah. Well, Pirate Ray or Pirate Seth, we're gonna get someone as a pirate. At least in our eyes, they're gonna be a pirate. So. Maybe all of their eyes will get ripped out. Maybe they'll just go both at once and they'll just pull all their eyes out. And then we'll pull our eyes out and we'll all just join in. We'll just all pull our eyes out. I mean, this year's been pretty terrible anyway, Mags, so let's just not look at it anymore, you know? Maybe they got the right idea.
To be fair, the idea of an eye for an eye match is a great way to get eyes on the product.
Oh, man. Oh, fuck. Moving along, something that I really don't want to... I don't care about Braun Strowman. You know I don't care about Braun Strowman. You know that I have this hate for Braun Strowman and how boring he is. Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, who's now the cult leader again for a little while, in a Wyatt swamp fight, which I may add, I'd have to note, everybody, this is not for the Universal Championship. The title is not on the line. I double checked. It is not on the line in this match. Why? I have no freaking idea. I don't hate the idea. Well, it's just so Braun can lose. That's the there's been no other reason other than Braun losing.
I think you're wrong.
Really?
Instantly, I think you're wrong. I think Braun wins this match, surely. I mean, I get your point with not really being invested in Braun. The way the title was put on him was ridiculous. He should have been champion 2 years ago when he was the actual monster among men, not this kind of
Strowman Express. Choo choo! Here comes Braun. I'm like, get out of here, man.
But to be fair to this storyline, Wyatt has made this really, really interesting. I really enjoyed the fact that they've give Wyatt free reign in this, and they've really let him use his character. I mean, he's proved it over the last couple of years with the Firefly Funhouse and the Eater of Worlds that this guy's got an amazing wrestling mind, and they've let him just run with the ball. And I'm loving this kind of callback to Mick Foley and the Three Faces of Foley, where we're getting Bray Wyatt and essentially the Three Faces of Wyatt, where Braun has beaten the Firefly Funhouse. Wyatt is getting now the Eater of Worlds, the cult leader Wyatt, and I think it leads to Braun beating Wyatt, saying we are done, this is it, and then Wyatt saying no.
Well, he did. Braun
You need to fight the Fiend.
Yeah, Braun said on Smackdown, I know you don't watch Smackdown because why would anyone else? I love wrestling, and I've come back with a new mindset on wrestling, is that I love wrestling to bits. I'm very positive about wrestling, but sometimes it's okay to hate some things. And Smackdown is something that I just do not like. Smackdown is not very good. However, I watched some of it before I went to work this week, and Braun's promo, credit where credit is due, was very good. He said that he needs to beat this Bray because he is scared of the Fiend. He does not want to fight the Fiend. So storyline development, that's good. I like that. But to me, it's just like the title isn't on the line, so Bray wins here and then somehow the Fiend gets involved. That's how I personally see it. I understand your point of view though. It's another match where it's like, could go either way here. RJ says SmackDown is the only one that he doesn't watch every week. Sometimes Raw. I personally like Raw. I enjoy Raw pretty much every single week. I watch NXT like anything. But SmackDown is just ass. It's just pure ass at this point. It's so bad.
I came back to watch that one SmackDown where Jeff Hardy swilled piss.
That's right.
With Sheamus, and I broke a 10-year duck for that.
Well, I'm glad you did.
I'm going on another 10-year duck.
Well, I don't blame you.
Hearing it here first.
Well, I don't blame you. I can't get anyone. If I'm getting anyone into wrestling, I ain't getting them to watch current day SmackDown. That's for sure. NXT signing on the dotted line. Let's take a little bit of a break from Extreme Rules for a couple of minutes here to talk about NXT. We had the Great American Bash over a couple of weeks, along with AEW's Fyter Fest. Everyone knows that I'm not the big AEW guy. I know I'm not an AEW stan. I don't hate them. Everyone knows my place on them. I happen to watch a couple things from both weeks of Fyter Fest. Orange Cassidy and Jericho I watched. I watched that big tag match on the first one, maybe the second one. I can't remember which one it was on, which week it was on. Great American Bash, of course, I watched both of them. Can we talk about your favorite, Mia Yim and Candice LeRae having a banger of a street fight a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. Mia Yim is
good
amazing.
Match. Both of them. They both came to play. They didn't waste any time. You know what I like about a street fight to me, Mags, is I don't want to see great technical wrestling in a street fight. I want to see two people bash the crap out of each other. That's what they did. There was kendo, especially in this world of wrestling or this world of WWE. That's the way you can do a quote unquote hardcore match. Kendo sticks, trash cans, fire extinguishers, table spots. Yeah. That spot at the end. Whew, man, that Miss LeRae's Wild Ride. Ooh, that look under the chairs. Ooh, that looked nasty.
And this is from someone who I know and I've watched her have some of the most disgustingly hardcore matches where her face has been literally bright red with blood. Candice LeRae can go in a hardcore match. I've not really seen a lot of that from Mia, but wow, she brought it. She's an absolute star. I love the bones off Mia Yim. She's such a talented wrestler.
Yeah, I really that out of everything with the Great American Bash, that was probably what I kind of loved the most, was that street fight. Of course, Sasha and Io was really good. The Women's Evolution, we're at the end of the Women's Evolution week. We you know how I am with women's wrestling. It's the reason I still watch wrestling. It's the reason I still love wrestling as much as I do, is women just kind of taking over. And you just look in the last couple of weeks, Mags, they're main eventing pretty much every television show at this point. And it's normal and it's good, and I like that it's normal.
Io versus Tegan Knox was an absolute banger from NXT this week. And then your girl Dakota Kai putting herself square in the title picture.
She kicked her right in the damn mouth too. I was like, ooh.
Damn straight. But that's if we get into the quote unquote war of AEW versus NXT. If there's one area that NXT is killing AEW, it's in the women. It's as simple as that. They're really highlighting the amazing female talent that they've got there, and AEW have got as equally as good a roster of women talent, but they don't get the ring time, and it's a massive drop of the ball from AEW there. And I think if they were to highlight the women more, I think they could potentially run away with this war.
Yeah, they'd get people like me. They would get people like me. The NXT Women's Division, Impact's Women's Division, you look at that. The main roster of women as well on Raw and SmackDown, all great. It's Sasha and Bayley are doing probably some of the best work of their career at the moment in terms of character and just being really damn over. And main eventing shows.
Who knew that Becky and Charlotte going away would mean that Sasha and Bayley would have time to shine? Who knew?
Oh, wow. Racking your brain on that one there. It's I will not take any Charlotte Flair hate. You know that. I love Charlotte Flair. However, it is a nice welcome change.
I give Tollett a lot of grief for his standing of Charlotte Flair,
I know.
But you know full well that I believe that she carried that division for the last 5 years. The WrestleMania main event, she absolutely deserved to be there. The problem I have is the amount of title shots and title matches she's been in the time, and the fact that you can't miss somebody if they're not aware. If they're always in the title picture.
I agree. Yeah.
That's the issue I have with Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, it's a welcome change to see other people like Asuka and Sasha and Bayley. One more thing we'll touch on before we move on with the Extreme Rules predictions is speaking of women, there is someone that is gotten a little bit of a rallying behind her in the last couple of days, and that's one Naomi. That hashtag kind of trending for a minute, and some celebrities that don't watch wrestling kind of being like, hey, I really like this girl. She's got a marketable appeal. I know there's been a lot of times where Naomi has shined and then taken right out of the spotlight and just kind of lost in the mix. I don't understand how you don't see that Naomi is. Some people don't see Naomi as marketable, and
she's money. She's absolute money.
She's colorful, and she's like, for kids, for little girls. I couldn't see how that's not marketable. It's bright colors. It's dancing music.
The whole glow.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember when she was Smackdown champion and she had a glowing title? The trainers that she wears, what glow? The spots that she does in the Royal Rumbles and the Battle Royals are very much like Kofi Kingston. This woman is amazing. She's arguably top 3 talented female wrestlers in WWE, and it's a damn shame that she gets overlooked. She could be the biggest star outside of the 4 horsewomen easily.
Yeah, I think she's got a lot of rallying behind her with people, and if she's drawing in people that don't watch wrestling, isn't that WWE's ultimate goal, is to get the casual fan, is to get people that don't watch wrestling? That's what I've always said. They're not here for us, they're here for the casuals, and they're here to get people that don't watch wrestling to watch wrestling, especially if it's a celebrity or something like that. It's a shame that she's got the bad end of the straw so many times. So I hope something leads to this. Who knows? It may not. It may fizzle out. Some things happen like that. That's just how it is. But I would not at all be opposed to seeing more of Naomi in a way better role.
Simply. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Speaking of the SmackDown Women's division, the SmackDown Women's Championship, of course, will be on the line. Nikki Cross looks to capture the SmackDown Women's Championship from Bayley, who I love as a heel, who Mags dislikes as a heel heavily. But hey, whether you like Bayley or as a heel or not, Mags, you've got to admit, like we were saying before, her and Banks have done some really good work in the last month and a half.
Yeah, I'm still not a massive fan of Bayley as a heel. I think it just doesn't work for me. I've spent so long watching her be the baby face of the women's division. She was always the one who would never turn, and yeah, I just can't get on board with the heel Bayley. But I've got to give her props. She's been playing this cowardly, manipulative heel to perfection. So yeah, I've got to give it. Her and Sasha Banks have kept this multiple year long storyline between the two girls. They've kept it fresh, and that's a testament to how good of talents that them two are. That this storyline could have easily been boring. We could have been like, come on, hurry up. We've wanted this match for so long, but they've been able to kind of like give us that slow burn, and I've got to give them props for that.
Yeah, they've done a really good job at just keeping the train moving with this one, with different layers and little teasers here and there. RJ, have you seen Tegan Knox's announcement, yes, of course. You know how I am on that. It's nice to see people in. It is good to see people in the limelight be open. It's Bailey and Banks have just been the highlight of wrestling for me in this last month or whatever. It's just been nice to see. You can tell when people are just genuinely being themselves and having fun, and you can see their creative stuff is flowing because it's working for them. When they're in commentary, they're just loud and they're irritating in a good way, and they're producing good matches. The women's tag team championships are in a better spot than they ever have been. I will not hear anything else about it because a lot of people have been like, women's tag team titles are never in a prominent role. It's been main eventing shows. It's been on every single show. It's been on. We wanted the women's tag team championships on NXT, on Smackdown, and Raw. We're getting them on all three. And they're putting on bangers of matches. Like the Kabuki Warriors match on Raw this week was wonderful. The triple threat at Backlash, that I liked that match. There's many times where they've just been putting on good matches. So it's good to see the women's tag team titles in this role. It's good to see Bailey and Sasha flowing so nicely. The problem is now for me, Mags, is that I don't want to see them break up, and it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. You'd think that would be a SummerSlam story. But then you bring in the whole idea of Nikki Cross here in this, and I'm glad to see Nikki Cross getting an opportunity. And then what happened on SmackDown this week with Bliss being a little blissed off with Nikki Cross. She maybe there's teasing of them two breaking up. There's a lot of elements going into this match. Now, this is just a standard regular match at this stage. Who knows if it'll get changed? Probably not. We've seen these two work in the past. It'll be fine. I expect it'll be just well, just good. So many elements are going into this though, but to me, you can't have Bailey lose to Nikki Cross here. You just can't. She's been on too much of a hot streak for her to lose.
Yeah, I agree. And again, this is a match that leads us into a Summerslam feud. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with Alexa Bliss being pissed off, and I think potentially she could cost Nikki the title, kind of a if I can't have the belt, you can't have the belt kind of thing. She's always had that very manipulative streak. We saw it when she was teaming with Nia Jax. That she has a way of dominating.
All the ones that exactly. I miss Bliss in that role too, Mags. I really miss, Alexa Bliss at one stage was the woman on top. She was the one kind of running the Raw SmackDown women's divisions. And I'm not saying that I've disliked Bliss as a face. I think she's an okay face. I don't think she's terrible in that role, but
she's a better heel.
She's naturally a better heel. And to play off someone like Nikki Cross, I wouldn't hate to see that. I wouldn't hate to see them two separate.
Yeah, and going into this match, if you look back over the last year or so, it's actually been Bailey who's been that kind of a roadblock for Nikki Cross. Even going back to when Bailey was the hugger, she was always the one person who Nikki Cross couldn't beat. Going into the tag matches, it was Bailey and Sasha who Nikki Cross just couldn't get over that hump, and I think that's going to continue. I can see Nikki Cross being a champion one day. I think she's got the character and the charisma to be able to do that. It's just right now, this Sasha versus Bailey slow burn is probably the best storyline main roster WWE have got going. And taking the title off Bailey right now would be, it would wreck the way the storyline's going. Yeah. So I could see maybe Alexa Bliss getting involved. I could even see Sasha getting involved to kind of like defend her friend. She's had that kind of almost lackey position where she's the one who goes out and makes sure that Bailey comes out victorious, but it's kind of not been reciprocated, and Bailey's not helped Sasha as much. So maybe we're going to get that kind of little bit of extra tease going into SummerSlam that Bailey's using Sasha rather than actually being a friend to Sasha. But yeah, I expect Bailey to come out of this. It makes all the sense in the world for Bailey to win this match.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the second part of my prediction when we get to Asuka and Banks, but I see Sasha helping Bayley retain here to beat Nikki Cross, and I expect this match will go on before Asuka and Sasha. So we'll move in, and I guess we'll go into Asuka's Raw Women's Championship defense.
I think we're looking at kind of the same length, but we'll get there. But I think I'm in the same kind of mindset.
Leno, you just gifted a sub to Sid. Thank you very much, Leno. You are an absolute legend. Just thank you very much. Sasha Banks and Asuka has the potential to be the show stealer of the night. In terms of just wrestling, I really couldn't see anything being better than this. We've seen them two go at it before. Remember that match on Raw a couple years back, and it was just great. That's the only time they've ever really touched. Like, that's really
that's amazing how two of, Sasha, I would argue, is the most talented of the horsewomen in terms of in-ring. I know she gets a lot of grief for being a botcher and kind of injuring people, but in terms of in-ring quality, I think she's far and away the best of the four horsewomen. And this match has got all the elements it needs to be an absolute show stealer.
Leno, more gifted subs. This one to Reese on Wrestling. Leno, you are crazy. Thank you very much, dude. That's muchly appreciated. You know it is. It's now you've thrown me off, Leno. I in a good way. But I don't even know what I'm gonna say. Sasha and Asuka, that's what we're talking about here. There you go. You said Sasha's the best of the four, in terms of in-ring ability, correct? I just got lost completely what you just said.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I said that.
Sometimes
I said what I said.
Well, I don't agree. But out of the four horsewomen, Sasha's probably my least favorite. I love her. I love all the four. But
how do you hang up a call?
What do you mean?
So I can hang up on you.
Okay. Well, yeah, bitch. I would. This is how you want to know how I rate the four horsewomen: Charlotte, Bayley, Becky, Sasha. That's how I rate them. And I know you're going to be like,
Sasha, Charlotte, Bayley, Becky.
Huh. Well, there you go. I didn't know you would go Charlotte second.
Yeah, she's carried the women's division, and she's a highly talented wrestler. She just is always there. She's an ever-present.
Well, fair. Well, this match, like I said, it has the potential to be the show stealer of the night. Now, what I was going to say with Nikki and Bayley, I think Sasha helps Bayley, and then Bayley goes to help Sasha, but inadvertently screws her over, which leads to tension between the two. Is that how you kind of see it happening as well?
Yeah, that's my main theory. I do have another theory.
Lay it on me.
Yes. Strap in. I feel that Sasha has the potential to come out of this match as a winner, winning the title despite Bayley kind of screwing her. Bayley clearly doesn't want Sasha to be on the kind of same level as her. She wants Sasha to be like almost like a groupie for Bayley. And if Sasha picked up the Raw title, that puts them on an even footing, which is not what Bayley wants. So I think that we could. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but we could see Bayley coming out to kind of squander Sasha's opportunity for a kind of backfiring, and Sasha ended up picking up the titles. We've seen how WWE likes to use Asuka to better other people and kind of like ruin her runs. We saw it with the way that she got beat almost instantly when she moved up to the main roster. So there is the potential for the Sasha and Bayley to go into SummerSlam as equals, as champion versus champion. Both obviously still sharing the Smackdown, the women's tag team titles as well. So double champion versus double champion. That for me is a possibility. But I do think we're going to go with Bayley screwing Sasha by accident, wink, wink, and Asuka retaining. And then Sasha kind of realizing, yeah, Bayley is a fucking bitch, and I'm gonna whoop the shit out of her.
That'll be the line. Bayley, you're a bitch, and then they'll fight, because that's apparently all WWE know how to do with women is they call each other bitches and then they pull each other's hair. That's genuinely it used to be my friend. And
that's why Bayley's had an haircut. It's all coming. It's all coming through. She had an haircut, so she can't really pull much of it. These long-term WWE storylines.
Well, look at you. They told her a year and a half ago. They said, Bayley, cut your hair. Look like you're gonna complain to the manager. But in a year's time, when you fight Sasha Banks, you'll have the upper hand here. I mean, don't tell me that WWE don't do long-term storyline booking. Don't tell me, because they just did.
How many videos have you seen recently of women kicking off about wearing a mask and thought, God damn, that's Bayley. That's what Bayley would be doing. Bayley's character would be doing that. Going to Walmart.
We need to put Bayley's theme music over the top of one of those things and see if it works. But hey, everyone, for everyone listening to this, wear a fucking mask. It ain't hard to do. It helps other people. Just putting that out there. But yeah, I expect Asuka and Sasha to be a good, fine wrestling match. I
think both the women's title matches should be outstanding, because Nikki Cross can go. Nikki Cross can absolutely go in the ring.
You know what else Nikki Cross can do is cut a damn fine promo.
Yeah, I love her. I absolutely love the bones off Nikki Cross. She's just amazing. A great character wrestler.
Yeah, really, really, really fun. But both those matches, I would see being like what you said, just good wrestling matches. So, there's only one other match to talk about, and that is the WWE Championship match. Drew McIntyre defending against Dolph Ziggler. Try and not fall asleep when I say Dolph Ziggler. No disrespect to Dolph Ziggler, but he's been in this situation so many times where he's going for the championship and everyone's like, is this going to be the one that he wins? And it's like, no, it's just not. Especially a month before SummerSlam. Now, the stipulation is, of course, Dolph's choice, and he hasn't told anyone yet. I know there was a thing about a tables, ladders, and chairs thing coming out of Facebook or something like that. But at this stage, we don't know what it is. No, I don't think this match will be bad no matter the stipulation. I say that pretty confidently because we have an eye for an eye match, so who knows? Maybe we'll get a left testicle for a left testicle match or something like that. Cut the other one's balls off. I don't know. Oh God, remember Kennel from Hell? Oh jeez, remember that? Do you remember that match?
That has come up on Badlands so many times. It's just one of the most repeatable, horrific moments in wrestling. It's
so bad. Those dogs.
A brilliantly bad moment.
It's funny. It's funny to go back and watch that because those dogs they just didn't give a fuck. They just wanted to fuck each other.
Yeah, they did give a fuck, and that was one of the big issues.
They just wanted to hump each other, and they didn't look terrifying in the slut. You couldn't have got nicer looking, like, cuddly, humpy dogs, really. So maybe we'll get Kennel from Hell back. That'd be in the PC. There you go. It's just, but instead of dogs, they use the developmental talent, and they have to act like dogs. You just see Shotzi Blackheart running around. Woof, woof. So, what the hell? It's getting late here, as you can tell. I'm starting to go a bit senile. It's, I don't know, man. If it is a TLC match, it'll be fine, but there's just no part of me that thinks Dolph Ziggler will win this. No part of me.
No. I do like the fact that when Dolph traded to Raw, they used the kind of history of him and Drew to build a story. And obviously, we know that Drew and Bobby Lashley was better than it had any kind of rights to be. And going into a feud with Drew is for as much as people don't like him, he's a talented wrestler. The weird thing for me is that he just doesn't win matches. When did he last actually win an actual match? It's weird seeing him in the title picture, but I do get the point. And again, this is a filler for leading to the big show at SummerSlam. The only interesting part, aside from the kind of history between the two guys, is what is the stipulation going to be. I've got a couple of theories that I've borrowed, aka stolen from Stephen Larson from Going in Raw. I think that Drew has been speaking in interviews and pressers that he wants the stipulation to be something that we haven't seen before. So that kind of rules out the regular kind of stipulations like steel cage, TLC, stuff like that for me. But he also has been playing a lot off Drew being the psychopath again, the Scottish psychopath. So Stephen Larson threw a couple of theories out, and they make sense for me. The first one is take away Drew's biggest weapon in the Claymore kick. So maybe have it as a no finisher match, no like big move match almost. And then the other one was if Drew is a psychopath, have it as I can't remember what they're called, but like the vest where you lock them up.
Like a straight jacket. A straight jacket.
Straight jacket, that's one. Like a straight jacket match where Drew has to fight with a straight jacket because he'd still be able to pull off the Claymore, obviously, and get the win. So maybe that could be it. They're two fairly.
And that's very horror, isn't it? Like, that's a very horror stipulation. Plays to the tagline.
The theme of the show. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. And no doubt, knowing WWE, it's going to be something absolutely ridiculous and will be way off base. But it adds a little bit of intrigue. It adds a little bit of intrigue. But you can't look past a Drew win. Absolutely can't look past a Drew win.
No, I understand what you mean. It's. I hope they do something different as well. To be completely fair, I hope it's just like, whatever. But so I didn't even think about something different like that, like to play with that horror show theme as well. That's probably the route they'll kind of go. But it's a Drew win. We're not going to disagree just to disagree on that one. Dolph's not winning this. Dolph is that person.
Imagine the scenes. Imagine the scenes.
We'll be eating fucking dirt, won't we? When we're like, well, we're wrong. I don't hate Dolph Ziggler. I don't think you do either. It's just he's that person that gets someone to the next spot. Whether that be, I would assume Drew would probably work Randy or someone like that at SummerSlam. That's how I see Drew, where Drew goes next.
That's the direction I've got it in as well. I think Randy's positioning himself as Drew's next challenger. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I still think their match, regardless of what the stipulation will be, it's not going to be bad. It's Drew and Dolph. You're not going to get something bad out of that. I'm enjoying the Drew championship run. I think he's been a good WWE champion. So I want to see that continue, to be honest.
I agree. And I know that the last pay-per-view with Backlash, I kind of predicted his downfall. But
yeah, you did. And you made me predict it too. I did state that Drew has been a great champion in terms of in-ring and in terms of connecting with the fans. It's just that it's this era. This era was not the right era for Drew to be a champion. He's deserved a huge crowd being there when he's had his moment, and I kind of understood the rumours going round of him dropping the title and then getting his big moment in front of a live audience in the future. But yeah, as a champion, he's been really, really good. I'm really, really impressed with him. Yeah, he's been fun. Overall, it's not like I'm the most excited for this pay-per-view I've ever been before. However, I don't think it has opportunities to be kind of a shitstorm, mainly in the eye for an eye. situation. But
Yeah,
I do think there's a lot of positives here that we could probably look at as being this show could be pretty good.
I mean, if you look at all the pay-per-views that WWE have put on in this kind of a COVID era, they've done really, really well. The only kind of stinker was the In Your House takeover, and that was more to do with.
I liked that.
It was the pacing, and it was the fact that takeovers set such a high bar that when one just doesn't reach that level, it stands out as like not being as good. So it kind of automatically gets a poorer rating. But if you look at that, all the CGI matches, aside from that Cole versus Velveteen Dream match, WWE have knocked it out of the park in terms of cinematic. So I expect WWE to give us a really, really good show here. I like these shows where there's not a lot of heart behind them, because you kind of go into it not expecting much, and you end up being really pleasantly surprised. So I'm sure it'll be a good show. I'm sure I'll have fun watching tonight.
We've said this many times, Mags. I believe we said this on both of the prediction shows we've done, or the few that we've done. WWE's problem is not with pay-per-views. They're pretty solid in that area. Yeah, of course, everyone's going to have a stinker now and again, but for the most part, WWE pay-per-views are the good stuff. And also, another thing we should probably note is that there's 7 matches on this card, and that's a good thing. That means everything's going to get a little bit of time. And
there was an 8th, weren't there? There wasn't.
That bar fight. Yeah, that bar fight got moved to SmackDown next week, so you might have to break your tradition here, Mags, and watch SmackDown next week, because that bar fight will be.
I'll catch the highlights on YouTube, and I'll catch the GIFs on Twitter.
I can't wait. I can't wait. It's unfortunate that I look at my work schedule. Oh, it has to.
It's got to end.
I've been defending it. I defended it a lot. I know I defended it a lot, but it's just dragged and dragged and dragged on. And it's like, what? Just no one would care if you just forgot at this stage and just move on. Yes, Leno, we will raid. Who am I raiding, by the way, Leno? Sorry, Mags. What were you gonna say?
I was just saying that I don't like the storyline with Jeff and Sheamus. I don't like WWE's historical use of people's real life demons as storyline fodder. The guy is still currently an addict. He's not. He's still got a court case to come up to do with drink driving. That it's too real and it's too raw for me, and I don't like the fact that they're using it. And it comes to something when Matt Hardy, who is now working for a totally different company, is worried for his brother because of the way WWE is treating him. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever. And the quicker this storyline ends, the better.
I agree completely. I agree completely with you. Well, on that note, this has been fun. I like these. These are now a part of my content now, Mag. So no pressure, but you have to put up with me at least once a month. At least once a month.
It's a small price to pay for being a content creator, I suppose.
I know. It's just as brutal for me as it is for you, Mag. So don't worry.
That is a lie.
Well, all right. Well, where can we find you now have your UFC podcast now is on 3 different networks, I believe. Is that correct?
Wow, that was literally sprung on me out of nowhere, and I'm blown away. You know how I feel. I don't ever give myself props.
No,
I always look at myself as an idiot from the north of England who does podcasting as a bit of relief and as a bit of fun. And the success, I mean, I don't blow my own trumpet, but the success I'm having
I will do it. I will say how I'll blow smoke up your ass. I don't give a fuck. You are very good at what you do, and you're someone that I try to model my kind of stuff very similarly to you, because you're just very good at what you do. You're very humble. I understand that. Shut the fuck up. I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, not that good. I'm just some old man from some part of England. just
wasn't
everybody
actually gonna say
down
that.
down here on the screen, there is Mags's Twitter handle. Go and follow Mags. He gives garbage takes on wrestling. Let's be honest, it's just garbage. He's so good. He's just very good at what he does, and he's a good friend of mine. So if you like me, go and follow Mags. If that's what it's gonna take, go and follow him. He's a good dude. But other than that, he's terrible. He smells real bad. He's stinky.
The best part of what I do is not even the content; it's getting to talk to people about wrestling. I love it. It's
like
just
Josh. People like Josh.
Well,
right?
Maybe like Josh. Sometimes, if I'm stuck for a guest, I'll rope Josh in. But no, honestly. Yeah, I love it, and I love the feedback I get hearing people like yourself and the guys like Fowl and Headlock Talk.
Yeah.
Really praise me, JPQ, Conrad, Queenie. It's amazing. I love it. I don't agree with you. I think I am just a moron from the north of England who puts out content, and I'm so lucky to have the success. But if you do want to follow me, Josh has give you my Twitter handle at DJ Kirkby. I do a podcast about UFC, which is now amazingly on 3 huge networks. That drops every Tuesday. Me and my son Carlos, we just discuss the weekend's UFC events and kind of give our review on it. So that's literally available anywhere you can catch podcasts, and even on the Smart to Death YouTube channel. I also have Badlands with my podcast wife Paul Tully, who's now out of his COVID exodus, so you'll be hearing his voice coming up again in the next few weeks. It's been good to have Paul back. I've really missed abusing him. That again is on the Chair Shot and also on Smart to Death Radio, so you can pick up that pretty much anywhere you get podcasts, and again on the Smart to Death YouTube channel. And to round off my 3 shows on Smart to Death, which I am totally the filler for that network. I have Why We Watch, which is my baby of a podcast.
I love that show. That's like my favorite.
It's the podcast that got me into podcasting, just having conversations with wrestling fans and content creators about why they love this absolutely stupid show about people who fake fart in their underwear. Yeah. Why do we love it? Absolutely no reason we should. It's ridiculous, but we do. And I talk to people about why and about why they want to create content. And that, again, is found on Visionaries Global Media and on Smart to Death. So pretty much anywhere, I'm literally, you put your headphones on and get your phone out, search for my content, and it's pretty much everywhere. So
it is.
Yeah, I'll be honoured if you give me a listen.
Do that. Give this man a follow. You can follow all of my stuff at Josh Robinson 00. You kind of know at this stage. Follow Reverb Radio on Twitter at Reverb Radio 00. Because podcast is my main love. I do, of course, love Twitch and all of my other content that I do. Podcast is my first bit of confidence that I ever gained in creating content. I have a whole network of shows over on Reverb Radio, but Wrestling Reverb is celebrating 2 years. It's second birthday bash next Friday. Kevin and I are back after nearly a month away. I'm ready to just talk to Kevin and just talk about wrestling and all of that kind of good stuff. And my baby's growing up and I can't believe it's 2 years and all of that. But then, of course, all of my other shows, if you're not into wrestling, it's okay, because I've got other shows with my brother-in-law, and I've got the Josh Robinson show, and I've got Ditz versus Josh, everything on that network, as well as specials in that coming to Reverb Radio, which you'll hear about over the next week as we get closer to the launch date. So, on that note, we're going to, people in the chat, we're going to raid David and drop over into his stream to say hello. But Mags, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on, and I guess we'll wait until SummerSlam's prediction show. We'll have a big SummerSlam bash, hey? We'll really go
the biggest party of the summer.
Woo-hoo! Is it still the biggest
lockdown.
Party? Is it still a party at this? Or wasn't it the biggest event of a summer at one point?
I have no idea. No idea.
It'll probably be the horror show at SummerSlam that was at Extreme Rules. That is the biggest party of the summer. with some other tagline on there. And all of that kind of good stuff. But all right, we're going to rate David, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate all the love in the chat. Leno, thank you for the multiple gifted subs and the sub yourself. You're an absolute insane person. Much love.
Leno, you are amazing.
Thank you very much. Peace out, everyone.